Sometimes you can figure it out, sometimes there's no way to figure it out. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it gets in a knot. Sometimes it sails along, sometimes it gets in reverse. See, that's not going to change. The last 6,000 years reads like this: opportunity mixed with difficulty. That's how it reads. It isn't going to change. The man says, well, then how will my life change? And the answer is, when you change. Whether I'm talking to high school kids or business executives, my message is always the same. Have you ever noticed that some people don't do well because they major in minor things? Whatever you do, check at the end of the week, the end of the year, and make sure you're not spending major time on minor things. Otherwise, you will wind up with a below-average life. Now, before I get to the 4 major lessons, here are 2 phrases to consider. First, life and business are like the changing seasons. That's one of the best ways to illustrate life. It's like the seasons that change. Frank Sinatra sings, life is like the seasons. Here's the second phrase. You cannot change the seasons, but you can change yourself. Now, with those 2 key phrases in mind, here are the 4 major lessons in life to learn. The first is, learn how to handle the winter. They come right after fall with regularity. Some are long, some are short. Some are difficult, some are easy. But they always come right after fall. Remember, it isn't going to change. 2 key phrases in mind, here are the 4 major lessons in life. The first is, learn how to handle the winters. They come right after fall. Regularity. Some are long, short. Some are easy. But they always come right after fall. It isn't change. Key phrases in mind, here are the 4 lessons in life. The first is, learn how to handle the winters. They come right after fall. Regularity. Some are long, short. Some are, but they always come right after fall. It isn't change. Key phrases, and here are the 4 lessons in life. The first is, learn how to handle the winter. Come right after regularity. Some are long, short. Some are, but they all right after fall. It isn't change. Key phrases, and here are the learn how to handle the winter. Come right after short. Summer, but they all right after fall. Key phrases, and here are the handle the winter. Come right after right after fall. Years that we know of, that's pretty reliable. And what a great place for spring right after winter. If you were going to put it somewhere, that would be the place to put it. God is a genius. Hey, days follow nights. Isn't that terrific? Opportunity follows difficulty. Expansion follows recession. And all with regularity. You can count on it.
Everybody has fear. Everybody has fear. But you don't let your fear have you. Tonight, if you're going to do what God has called you to do, you have got to reverse the process. Stop exposing your fear. Bury your fear up under the blood of the cross and the word of Jesus Christ, and lift up your talent and say, this is the day that the Lord has made. And when you switch that process, demons tremble and hell gets nervous. Curses are broken and yokes are destroyed. People are set free and your life is built over again. Do you have the courage? Somebody shout, yes! When God gives you an opportunity, you need to work your magic on it and turn it into something. Brother 5 turned it into 10. Brother 2 turned it into 4. And Brother 1, well, he kind of messed up my story a little bit because he kind of just, what had happened was he never turned his opportunity into anything because of his fear. And the Lord sent me to ask you a question. What are you going to do with what he has given you? What are you going to do with the life he has given you, and the talent he has given you, and the time he has given you, and the influence he has given you, and the gifts he has given you, and the resources he has given you, and the creativity he has given you? What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? There's somebody in the hospital wishing they could be where you are right now. There's somebody on a breathing machine wishing they could be where you are right now. But look at you. I know you got some problems, and I know you got some issues, but you combed your own hair. You got up out of the bed. You brushed your own teeth. You dressed yourself. What are you going to do with what God has given you? Anyway, the story goes on. The master took a journey, went into a far country, and he came back. When he came back, walked up to brother number five. Brother number five said, hey, I've been waiting on you to get back. I got something to show you. Remember when you gave me 5? Shazam! I'm bad. He did that little Michael Jackson thing. 10. Brother number 2 said, excuse me, let me show you some. Shazam! 4. I imagine in my mind, brother number 10 looked at brother number 4 and said, how can you be that happy about 4? I got 10 and you got 4. And brother number 4, if he had any sense, would have told brother number 10, I may not have as many as you have, but both of us have 100% increase over where we started. What I want you to see out of that is that God does not expect you to work with what he has not given you. God is not holding you to somebody else's standard. What God is holding you to is to work that thing on your level. You can't sit around and say, I wish I had more. If I had more, I'd do more with it. No, you don't have to give an account for what God gave me or God gave her or what God gave him. You do have to give an account for what God has given you. And rather than to compare yourself with somebody else, you need to work that thing on your level.
You have to write it down. It's a principle of success. Anybody can be successful. You just have to know the principles of success. See, I know the principles of success. I could stop and go start selling tomatoes, and I could go make a lot of money selling tomatoes. You know why? Because I know the principles of success. The second principle you need to know is you have to write it down. But that's the scripture. That's Habakkuk 2:2. Write the vision and make it plain, so that he who reads it will run to it. And even though it tarry, wait for it, for surely it will come at an appointed time. I don't know but 4-5, but I know 4-5 good ones though. Everything I've ever dreamed and asked God for, I done wrote it down. Everything I ever had come from a piece of paper. And everything extra I got come from his grace. I got stuff, he gave me stuff more than on the paper. But see, you ain't got no time for that though. So here's the exercise I want all of you to do. I'm just telling you how to be successful. This is how I did it. I ain't gonna take no course. I flunked out of school. I have no education. I got no education. You know, I did a commercial for Strayer University. I'm about to sign the deal, big deal. And the lady comes in the room, black lady, she's the head of marketing. She said, Mr. Harvey, before we sign this deal, I understand that you didn't complete your degree. I said, no, I flunked out of school. She said, well, I think it would be most effective if you would go back to school as a part of this deal. We'll pay you the money we said, but we'd like for you to complete your education. It would send such a riveting message to everybody. I said, what is I'm going to school for? What is I'm going to school for? I know that lady wanted to say, ain't it obvious? First of all, you stupid. I said, what is I'm going to school for? She said, to complete your education. I said, but what is I'm going to go for? She said, what is I'm going to go for? That threw her in the search. Yeah, what is I'm going for? She said, to complete your education and send a message to people about being successful. I looked at this lady, I said, ma'am, I can't go back to school. She said, why? I said, because I'm too old. She said, you're never too old to get an education. I said, but let me ask you this way. Why would I go back to school? Because what is I'm going for, you didn't understand that. So why would I go back to school? She said, to further your education. I said, why are all these people getting education? To have a better life. What course do you offer that's going to give me a better life than the one I got right now? Because right now, I'm making a lot of money with these jokes, lady, and I don't see why I would stop telling these jokes to come and go to Strayer University. She said, well, if you don't go back to school, Mr. Harvey, we won't be doing the deal. So I got on, button my suit up. She said, where are you going? I said, you just said if I don't go back to school, we ain't finna do the deal. Clearly, I'm not finna go back to school. She said, why are you so insistent about not going back to school? I said, you have any idea how much money I'm making? Why would I stop doing that to go back to school? And then she made me mad. I just said, you know what, lady? She said, there are people with multiple degrees. I said, if you got one degree and it ain't working for you, Why would you go get another one of them?
Anyway, it's almost too much for me to comprehend. From where I started, raised in obscurity, in a little small farm community, and now to be here today is pretty awesome for me. So anyway, that's just a little bit about my story. My story is probably more intriguing for me than it is for you, but I wanted to hear it again, so I thought I would just, bore you with it. Anyway, I don't ask you to be impressed today. I'm the one that's impressed from where I came from to have a chance. But that's the American dream, right? Come true. Chance to start from scratch, start from obscurity, start with pennies, start with nothing, and have a chance. Transform your life, change your life, set your goals, and see what you can accomplish. So anyway, that's how I got here, and I'm just delighted that this day has arrived, and I truly want to make it valuable for you. Let's go to work. Here's what I hope you'll find out of this seminar today. For your notes, here's what I hope you'll find. Number one, sincerity. Above all else today, I hope you'll find me sincere. Best place for people to start to communicate sincerity on both sides. I'm sure you're sincere or you wouldn't be here today, right? Spend this kind of money, spend this kind of time, roll up your sleeves today, go to work like I am, and get this message. You've got to be sincere. So I assume you're sincere. Now I want you to see me sincere. But I've got a good note for you to make. Sincerity is not a test of truth. Important note to make. Sincerity is not a test of truth. We must not make the mistake of saying he must be right. He's so sincere. That would be a mistake. And here's why. It's possible to be sincerely wrong. So we don't mistake sincerity for truth, right? Sincerity is only a test of sincerity. Truth has to yet be tested by truth, okay? But hopefully you will find me. And truth. Next, a combination of things I hope you'll find here today. Ideas plus inspiration. Ideas plus inspiration. Ideas, business ideas and social ideas and personal ideas. We all need ideas, right? How to have a good day ideas. How to have a good year ideas. How to have your best year ever ideas. Good health ideas. Personal relationship ideas. How to deal with your family ideas. Sales management ideas. Financial freedom for the future ideas. We all need good ideas. So today, I hope you gather up by note and by what you can remember a lot of ideas. I want to share as many with you as I possibly can in the time constraints we have. Today is going to go very rapidly. I used to think a day like this was a long day. Found out it's a pretty short day. But I'm going to go as fast as I can, share with you as many ideas as I possibly can. And here's why. Ideas can be life-changing. Ideas can be life-changing. And sometimes all you need is just one more in a series of good ideas. It's like dialing the numbers into the lock, right? You got 5 or 6 numbers dialed into the lock. The lock still won't come open, but you don't need 5 or 6 more numbers. Maybe you just need one more. And maybe a seminar like this could do it. A sermon could do it. The lyrics from a song could do it. The dialogue from a movie could do it. Conversation with a friend might do it. That one last piece you need, number. Dial it into the lock. That's it. The lock comes open. There's the door for you to walk through. And maybe this seminar today could furnish that for you. One more idea. I know you've come with a lot already. Sometimes we get the impression, I used to have that I only had this much going for me and I needed this much. Usually not true. And I'm sure not true of this audience where I find you today. As well dressed as you look today. As fine as you are sitting here today. It isn't that, you've got this much going for you and you need this much. I would assume you've got this much going for you and maybe all you need is just a few more thoughts, ideas, to furnish you some ways and means to turn your life into the dream you wanted. So, ideas. The seminar's going to be loaded with ideas. I want you to take good notes. But here's what else I hope you'll find here today, and that is inspiration. And who knows the mystery of inspiration? Why some people are inspired and some are not? You were inspired to get here. Some were not. Who knows the mystery of that? I don't know.
A friend of mine, he's a urologist now, used to play a lineman for Ohio State University. He said, Les, let me give you a free rectal. I said, no, buddy, you're too motivated. Hope we don't roll like that. Huh? My goal before leaving the planet is to reduce the number of kids that are impacted by autism, to find a cure for autism, to work to raise money and to raise awareness, to eradicate it from the planet before I leave here. What's your goal? What's your dream? What is it you want to do with your life? Dr. Joelle Martin said something that I love. She said, what would the world be like if everybody lived their dream? Here's what I found about life. It's not as complicated as I used to make it. I think that life is about dreams and stories. Everything that exists, the world at one time was barren, but everything that exists, hotels, planes, they weren't here. Everything that we see every day, computers, all of the things that we see, someone had a dream. Someone had a dream of a person standing on stage and their voice being amplified so they don't have to scream and yell and could be heard by thousands. Someone had that dream of how to transport us from one place to the other quickly and safely. The clothes you have on, where you're now seated, all came out of somebody's dream, the world's greatest achievement. What is your dream? I said that you have something special. I didn't say that just to be kind. I said it because it's true. You are God's chosen vessel. You were chosen. 1 out of 400 million sperm. You have something in you that when you were chosen, when you showed up, there's something in you that if you don't do it, all of us will suffer. Repeat after me, please. Live full, die empty. Let's say it again. Live full, die empty. Dr. Howard Thurman, one of the mentors of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Albert Schweitzer and Mahatma Gandhi, he was a very brilliant writer. He wrote some things that really grabbed me. He wrote, deep is the hunger, the voice of the genuine, the centering moment. During the time after receiving 238 radiation seed implants, I was reflecting on his words, and these words kept me up that night. He said, the ideal situation for a man or woman to die is to have family members praying with them as they cross over. He said, but imagine, if you will, being on your deathbed and standing around your bed, the ghost of the dreams, the ideas, the abilities, the talents given to you by life, and that you, for whatever reason, you never went after that dream. You never acted on those ideas. You never used those talents. You never used those gifts. And there they are standing around your bed looking at you with large angry eyes saying, we came to you And only you could have given us life. And now we must die with you forever.
I remember the days where no one wanted to listen to me, so I'm always grateful when people do. I don't forget that. And so I spent more of my life a broke person than I have a rich person. And I spent more of my life someone nobody knew than that other people now do know, right? So I'm really grateful for it. It's not something that I take lightly. I don't take your time lightly either. So I have a huge ambition here, which is I'd like this next hour to help change your life. So I've set the bar high. We'll see whether or not we accomplish that, but at least make some kind of a difference in your life. So a couple things about sales I just want to say first. Facts tell, stories sell. And all the people that I know that are the best at influence or teaching influence are great storytellers. Their ability to make a point through a story is better than any fact that they can give you. And what I want to do first, because I want to set this straight because that was a really great introduction, I'd like you to know the person that existed prior to all that stuff Lee said. So I'd like to give you a little bit of hope. Is that good? Say yes. So I am an average, ordinary human being. And I don't like, when I speak, I don't like to be, I used to say I'm below average, but the fact is I don't think that's really true. I actually think everybody's born with giftedness. I think every single human being's born with some natural giftedness. And when you figure out what those gifts are, you use them in the service of other people, you start living a pretty blissful life. And for me, it didn't take very long for me to find out what my gifts were. It's not IQ, it's not that I'm 6'4", I'm not the strongest dude in the world, I'm not the funniest dude in the world, but I am a pretty good communicator and I'm a really good listener. I love being present with people, and one of my gifts is I sincerely care about people. And you ought to be thinking about what your gifts are. It's easy. You look at guys that I coach, if you look at some of the golfers that I coach or the UFC guys, my guy I coached last weekend won, Dominic Cruz, Michael Chandler's another buddy of mine. You look at these people that I work with, they could see their physical gifts. Chandler's got quads that are like this big, right? Or LeBron's 6'8", can jump out of the gym. We know those are the gifts. But what are your gifts? Like if you could take a real inventory of them, I ask high performers, even like you guys, what's your giftedness? And you'd have a hard time telling me because you discount what they are, right? You discount, maybe you're not like for me, we just did an IQ test in my family. I was 4th out of 4 people in my own house, right? That's a true deal. Not that I'm dumb, just I don't have a high IQ. I've been able to identify what my gifts are. I can transfer energy to people. I will outwork your ass, right? I'm intense. Those are gifts. And when you start to leverage your gifts, it doesn't feel like work anymore. So I always had these gifts that were mine. You've got yours. If you'll take an inventory of what they are, you'll be a more wealthy, productive person. I've been able to build a significant 9-figure net worth in my life. I've been able to coach some of the top athletes, entertainers, politicians on the planet, and I'm a goober. So I want you to think, if a goober dude like me can end up doing that stuff, what could you accomplish?
I have to say this first. No matter what you hear me say, no matter how I tell my story, no matter what piece of information I lay out in front of you, please tag that with "cause of God." You got to understand that about me. Look, sometimes when I'm talking and I'm sharing, it sounds like I'm talking about myself. But behind every sentence, I want you to say, "cause of God," because I get it. This brother Ricky Lewis, who is a dear friend of mine, probably one of the most dedicated Qs I've ever met in my life, really. When he presented the idea to me, I got to do a lot to move. I'm pretty busy. But when you hear a person introduce you with no introduction necessary, it's because I've accomplished so much, but it's cause of God, though. Look, my life is covered with grace and favor. I'm not a pastor by any stretch of the imagination. I got enough flaws to negate that statement off the top. But my life is favor.
Become a good student of your own life. It's the information you are most familiar with and feel the strongest about. So make your own life one of your most important studies. And in studying your own life, be sure to study the negative as well as the positive, your failures as well as your successes. Our so-called failures serve us well when they teach us valuable information. They're frequently better teachers than our successes. One of the ways we learn how to do something right is simply by doing it wrong. Doing it wrong is a great school for learning. Now I would suggest that you not take too long. If you've done it wrong for 10 years, I wouldn't suggest another 10. But what a close at hand and emotionally impactful way to learn from your own experiences. When I met Mr. Schoaf, I had been working 6 years. I started when I was 19, and when I met him, I was 25. He said to me, Mr. Rohn, you have been working now for 6 years. How are you doing? I said, not very well. He said, then I suggest you not do that anymore. 6 years is long enough to operate the wrong plan. Next he asked, how much money have you saved in the last 6 years? I said, not any. He said, who sold you on that plan 6 years ago? What a fantastic question. Where did I get my present plan that wasn't working well? Hey, everyone has bought someone's plan. The question is, whose? Whose plan have you bought? Now, those initial confrontations as you come to grips with your own past experiences may be a little painful at first, especially if you have made as many errors as I did. But think of the progress you can make when you have finally confronted those errors by becoming a better student of your own life. Now, the next way to learn is from other people's experiences. And remember, you can learn from other people whether they have done it right or wrong. You can learn from negative as well as positive. The Bible is such a great book because it is a collection of human stories on both sides of the ledger. One list of human stories is called examples. Do what these people did. And the other list of human stories is called warning. Don't do what these clods did. What a wealth of information. What to do and what not to do. I think it also means, however, that if your story ever gets in somebody's book, make sure they use it as an example, not a warning.
He finds his power. It's a wonderful thing to find your power. Give me a double portion of your spirit. And this is something that you should take note of about power. Don't give people power too quickly. The moment they ask for it doesn't mean you ought to give it to them. Sometimes pastors are too nice. People come to you and ask you for stuff, whatever they ask you for, go ahead, bless God, the Lord leading you to do that, go ahead and do it. They're going to wreck your thing, wreck the entire church. You don't give power quickly to people. You don't give the microphone quickly to people. I had a little church, and back then, Praise the Lord was on TV, and it was a big thing, and Jim and Tammy were up there, and they had all them good singers and bright people talking on TV and stuff like that, and I just started my church, and my members was like this, and, you know, and I said, Lord, how come they got all of those good people up there and those smart, bright people and stuff up there doing what they're doing, and then you just send me just, you know, what you sent me. I had some people that had their shoes on backwards and stuff, you know, and and suddenly the Lord spoke back to me and said, they got some people like that too, but they're not up front. Have you given power to the wrong person?
I believe complexity is the enemy of execution. That's what it is. You got to make it so simple, people do it. Complexity is the enemy of execution. So I'll get it simple. You get it to me, I'll make it simple. He goes, well, it uses leverage. I said, give me one that doesn't leverage that anybody could do. They could do with ETFs. He goes, well, I don't know. I don't know what that's going to look like. It won't be perfect. I said, your worst plan is going to be better than anybody else's best plan. And then he this moment of engagement, this magic moment, he opens up and he goes, okay. And I'm writing like crazy. I got the video camera going. I'm feeling this vibration in my body. I left so excited, knowing it was something special, but not knowing what it was. But that formula, I took it to Hightower, $30 billion asset company, said, test this 30 years, 40 years, 75 years. How's this done? Over all that time period, in the last 30 years, it lost money 4 times. Made money every other time. And the 4 times, one of the losses was 0.003. So it really practically lost money 3 times. You know what the average loss was? 1.9%. But the average gain, just under 10 all in. The largest loss in 75 years. It's been right 85% of the time. The largest loss was 3.95, as that was 2008. Less than 4% when the rest of the world, from top to bottom, lost 51%. It's in my book, by the way. And so a bunch of my partners were like, hey, this is a business. Don't put that shit in the book. And I said, you know what? It is a great business. We can help people do it if they want to do it, but it wasn't offered in that spirit. So it's there. I tell you this because I want you to understand with engagement, you can get anything. But engagement, I want you to define it, I want you to experience it. And so what's the first thing that allows you to engage somebody? What's the number one thing? Right now, if I said to you, what is it? How many think Mark is a fairly engaging guy without blowing smoke? How many have to say this guy's pretty damn engaging? Say I. What makes him engaging? What makes somebody you find engaging? What makes them engaging to you? What is it about them? Think about it. Say it out loud. What makes somebody engaging? They're positive? What's that? Eye contact makes somebody engaging. She's talking about another level of engagement. I can feel it right now. What else creates somebody engaging? Come on. Smile. What else makes them engaging? Energy, passion, talking the truth instead of what you want to hear. Who loves somebody who will tell you the damn truth in the world we do? It's the world, not even reality television is freaking real anymore, right? Raw and real may not sound good, but it sure feels good because you know it's there. Sincerity, when you feel like somebody, how about caring? When you feel like somebody truly cares about you, does that make you engage more, right? What makes something disengaging to you? What makes you disengage with someone? Lying, when you can't trust them. Arrogance, when they try to control you. What disengages you? When they come up to hit on you and they're not even committed, you're like the 12th person and you can feel it. When they're insincere, disengages you. What's that? When the communication or the relationship is one-sided, totally disengages you, doesn't it? Inauthenticity. Whereas authentic does engage you, doesn't it? Right? What's that? Yes, when they're on their phone talking to you while they're also doing something else. How many love this experience? And yet we've made it culturally okay. Depending upon what generation you're in. Depends on how your mindset is and where you live in the world, I guess, to some extent. But all the things you said are true. When you feel that someone cares about you, is interested in you, is sincere with you, shares the same interest, is trying to accomplish something, if there's that caring, sincerity, mission, passion, is passion something engages you? Yes or no? And then disengagement's the opposite. But all of them start with one thing that I want to do right now so we can shift this gear, because you've been sitting way too long and so quietly. You've been so nice. But this passive learning has got to end now. I just did it so it wouldn't feel jolting when we began. Now we can step into the real game. And here's how I want to do that. First of all, energy. Energy is the base. How many agree energy is engaging? Say I. If you want to change something in your life and you are what I call energy poor, low energy, are you going to follow through? Yes or no? You love your husband or wife, but you're exhausted. Love you. Yeah, okay. There is no passion. There is no intimacy without energy. Am I right? You're not going to go to build a business without energy. You see this crazy man? He's filled with energy day and night and day. It's Richard Branson. How much energy does that man have? He's insane in his energy. Anybody I've ever met who really has this compelling ability to engage with people, it's energy. But are they born with it? Some maybe, most not. Because I've interviewed them, I've seen them, and I also see some of them like Richard. Richard is a ball of fire of energy, and then he's not. He's actually a very internal guy in many ways. He's external when he wants to go do something. He's crazy and willing to risk his life. Not in business. In business, he goes, okay, I'm going to take Virgin and make Virgin Airways, so how can I lose? Oh, I'm going to make a deal with Boeing that if they fail, I get to give them the jets back. That's how he thinks. In his life, let me go in the middle of a balloon in the middle of the sky and hope shit happens.
See, the cool thing about me is I ain't got nothing to sell you. I ain't got nothing for you. I'm just going to tell you how you can get to the next level. Now, I've been debating on how I was going to do this, but I thought the best way to go about this is just tell you my story. And in my story, maybe you can see some of yourself. Listen, man, anybody can be successful, but you got to understand something. It's hard. It's hard, man. You can take all the courses you want. It's hard. You can go down there to the church and hold your hands in a prayer circle. When you get through praying, it's going to be hard. You go to school, you can get all the degrees you want. When you get them degrees and you hang them on the wall, if you want to be successful, it's going to be hard. It's hard being successful. That's the first thing you need to understand. Come to these seminars and have these people come out here, talk to you about success and everything. Come out here and they do a nice job of it, but then you go back and think you got it. It's hard. I don't even know the speaker's names, but all these people that's up here, it was hard. That lady had the red dress on to get to where she at. It's hard. It's hard. Understand that. It's hard, man. See, and I talk real. I ain't got no paper. I ain't got no presentation. You know, I got some pictures if you want to see them, but I ain't really got them tied to nothing.